All right, well, our next session then is with Monica Cappiello and Shaun Foster and Nick. I never can pronounce your last name. I am so sorry.
Just Nick is fine.
Jushchyshyn, is that right? Close
My
maybe.
family pronounces it
Jushchyshyn?
Jushchyshyn. I'm not sure that they're
Jushchyshyn.
pronouncing it correctly, to be honest. It's a
Your
Ukrainian name.
family.
All
That's funny.
right. So this is a session on influencer professors leveraging video sharing for student benefit. I'm going to hand it over, I suppose, to Monica.
Oh, great. Hi, everybody. My name is Monica, and my YouTube channel is Academic Phoenix Plus, and I provide free tutorials on content such as Maya, ZBrush, Substance Painters. I have a little bit of augmented reality, compositing, lighting, all sorts of things. Um, I actually just hit a milestone last week where I got 90,000 subscribers. So
Ooh, awesome.
just 10,000
Congratulations.
more, and I'll get a little plaque. And so I'm very excited to be using YouTube as a platform to not only reach my students in my classes, but also to all these, you know, 90,000 people out there that are interested in 3D. So yeah, so that's me. I guess I'll
Shaun,
pass
you
it
want
on
to go?
to Shaun. Yeah.
Hey, my name's Shaun Foster. I'm a professor of 3D digital design at the Rochester Institute of Technology, and my YouTube channel is right now it's labeled Shaun Real, but I'm like on the edge of changing the name due to the sort of cheesiness factor. It's mainly an Unreal channel, as you could guess, but it also has a blend of other elements, including the sort of XR research I've been doing and some emerging AI crossovers. Yep. I'll
And
hand it
hi,
over to
everybody.
Nick. Yeah.
My name's Nick Jushchyshyn, and I have to say that Monica and Shaun are really kind of my inspirations for getting into this YouTube thing. Shaun's channel existed predated. Well, I think both of your channels existed before I knew of them, but I think Monica, when you were chair of the SIGGRAPH education track in Vancouver, was when I discovered, like, oh my gosh, she's got a YouTube channel and it's huge. So I have a channel called Pixel Prof, and I spun off a second one recently called Pixel Prof Motion Design. And like Shaun, I focus on a lot on Unreal Engine technologies, and that's just I teach virtual production, and so that's kind of the core platform for that. And the thing that the reason for the spin-off was that there's more of a push now, like for motion graphics design. I discovered, like, okay, well, there's motion graphics is very different from virtual production, which is, like Shaun's channel, it covers Unreal Engine. A lot of it is on game, implementing it for games specifically. That I guess that's in a nutshell what I'm doing with it. And I'm just happy to have crossed the 10,000 threshold, I guess
Yay. That's a milestone
so
right there.
yeah, there we go. So, but yeah, there we go. That's what I cover.
So which one hit the 10,000? Your first YouTube channel or the
Yeah, the
motion
first one's
graphics?
just called
Okay.
Pixel Prof, and
Right.
I think it's over 11,000 now. And actually, just this morning, the Pixel Prof Motion Design just got its 1,000th subscriber this morning. So, so that one's the new one now.
I've thought about doing motion graphics because I do teach motion graphics in my school, and I thought
Mhm.
about creating a motion graphics YouTube just for that. But then I was like, two channels, that seems like so much work. But I also don't want to inundate my 3D YouTube channel with like a bunch of motion graphics. So it's always been like this debate of like, like should I just have a whole section of motion graphics dedicated YouTube, or should I just, throw people, in a loop and put it in my actual regular channel. So that's always been my debate.
I
Yeah,
can I can relate to that. Yeah.
I'll share from my experience. I'm happy that I spun it off because I
Oh.
did start
Oh,
putting my motion design uh, material into my original channel. Um, and what I was feeling like is that the channel became less useful for its original topics, motion, virtual production, and motion capture, performance capture, metahumans. Like that was it was pretty well focused on that. And then the folks that were interested in that weren't as interested in motion design. And so they would get, in their feed and then therefore ignore these motion design tutorials. And then the motion design folks would start coming in, but they would be ignoring the virtual production stuff. So I feel like separating at least those topics I'm happy I did it. I mean, there's no help, in terms of the channel itself. It's not like this is a specific, particular income stream or anything like that. But but I think that in terms of the audience benefit and use case, like, and it helps me when I'm teaching. I direct, if I'm teaching a motion design class, motion graphics class, it's like, okay, there's this channel, it's full of stuff, and if you have questions, let me know. And then vice versa, if I'm teaching performance capture, okay, here's a playlist over here. So anyway.
So do you all want me to ask you questions and do kind of a roundtable thing? Because I do have some prepared questions for you if you'd like to go that way, or do you have a set structure of things that you want to talk about today?
I'm good with questions from you,
Okay.
Shaun. That would be great.
Absolutely.
All right, great. So the first question then, which you kind of talked a little bit about that, but so all three of you are using this public video channel in your teaching, and this panel goes beyond the idea of simply flipping that classroom experience. So what is one unexpected way that maintaining a public-facing video library has changed how your students learn, engage, or even see themselves professionally? We'll start with Monica and go to Nick and then Shaun.
I think when I tell my students that I have a YouTube channel and that I have 90,000 subscribers, I get like a little like badge or something, especially for the young generation where social media is such a big thing for them. So when they hear that I have like, oh, I have like 85,000 subscribers, suddenly they're like listening a little bit more. So I found that to be a surprise every single time. I'm like, and I have this YouTube channel where I post my videos. And I explain to my students that the reason why I use YouTube is because no student has ever said, YouTube stopped working. Know what I mean? Like I have tried Vimeo, I have tried Canvas Studio, I have tried all these different platforms to keep it a little bit private and things like that. And I always got screenshots of something wasn't working, something wasn't loading. And at the end, I just was like, you know what? Let's just go ahead and put it in YouTube because no one has ever said that YouTube doesn't load. So yeah, and then it just started off with something really simple. Like I was just uploading my tutorials and then it just started to pick up steam and we are here now. So as for professional, how it impacted my students, what's interesting is that my especially my students that have moved on and have gotten careers in the industry, they randomly would send me a message and be like, I needed to learn how to do this. And guess what I found? I found your video and it helped me. You're still teaching me even after 10 years, So it's really, really fun to see how my videos, even to this day, is impacting my students from so long ago. So just, it just helps students even now.
All right, Nick.
Yeah, I mean, building on what Monica was just sharing, it definitely means that, in our learning systems, when we share content, even flipping the classroom, it's only there for those students during that time. Even like those go away after a couple of years, even, and the students lose access as soon as they graduate, if not earlier.
Mhm.
So by putting that content out publicly, long after they've graduated, alumni are able to find that stuff and they're able to see, all right, what's being taught now and learn from that. And so I think that's a huge, benefit factor in all of this. I started in 2020 during COVID when I was experimenting with, okay, can I do this virtual production thing from my desk? Because I have to do it at my desk at home. And so a lot of it too it was difficult to find answers to the questions that I was trying to explore.
Oh.
And so there was a bit of a selfish, okay, I live with ADHD. If I put it on YouTube, I won't lose it. I will be able to go back and find it. And that definitely has worked for me. I have actually gone back. I've found myself like, I can't remember how to do this thing. And I will go to my own channel to like, oh, okay, that's how that actually happened in a class recently. And to Monica's point, there are some topics that I teach that are very studio based, and I actually like do relegate, like, I'm not going to teach this outside of the classroom. This is for you, Drexel students. Like, you're learning this skill set so that when you go into industry, like, you're one of the few people that know how to do this. And I've had alumni say, like, can you just put that up as like an unlisted video? Like I'd really like to do that. So those are some of the things. And then one of my primary missions with it is to share openly with industry. This is what my students are working with and learning about every single day. So if you're looking to hire, like if you're watching this channel and it's useful to you, like my students will be useful to you. Like if you know, reach out to me, and it is not at all unusual for me to get contacted by folks from industries like, hey, I've been following your channel and I really need someone to help me with, like, do you have anyone that's, you know, open to an internship or an alumni? And so those are some of the big benefits for, you know, specifically for students and alumni on these things.
Awesome. Yeah, I guess I would sort of continue on the conversation with the reason I started was mostly that I was doing demos and then like I would get the students that would miss step 5 out of 20. And then I was like, no, we have got to stop this. We're going to record this and I'm just going to put this online. That was one of the main starting points. And then it sort of spiraled into connected to what you said, Nick, which was like I'd be searching for the answer, and then I would actually feel sort of happy sometimes. I would be like, okay, can I flip this being from being frustrated to being happy and being like, I don't see an answer to this question. And then I'd be like, well, you know what? I can figure this out. And so then I'd sort of reach out and talk to people and then figure it out and then post it. And then there would be this sort of amplified happiness effect from like a broader community and from my students. And so that was a really great thing. And then to connect to sort of what Monica said, where I would having, or both of you said, like having the students that were back in industry send emails back, or even recently, one said that AI was citing one of my videos, which was kind of fun. There, like the AI like pulled up your video, and I was like, well, that's great, kind of, right? Like,
Somebody said that about me. They're like, "Hey, I found your channel because ChatGPT said you were one of the best channels
right.
for Maya." I was like, "Oh, okay, thanks, Chat."
That's awesome.
You know, to your
Okay.
point, Shaun, and I just lost my train of thought, but you mentioned something at the beginning where, oh yeah, they missed step 5 out of 20 and they were
Yeah.
behind. That was one of the key reasons why I started recording my videos was because there were so many steps, and if you missed that check mark, the students were lost. And this is like an intro. I teach intro level, and it was such a shame because they really don't have the resources to find out that one exact check mark that they missed. So the
Right.
videos really helped them out. I also have a lot because I teach at UCLA, but I also teach at a community college, and we have a lot of students that are deaf, and they have all my videos are now captioned. Like I accurately caption every single one of my videos so that they can also watch the videos and make sure that
Mhm.
they can, you know, press the right buttons and the right check marks and they can be
Yeah.
successful in my class. And at the end, that's why these videos were created was to help my students become successful. And if they missed a step, they can always come back and they can and still be successful no matter what. And
I can
also
re
when they got sick,
yeah.
right? They will get sick, they will
Yes.
miss the demo, and they were behind forever, right? So then I have my
Hmm.
videos, and I'm like, here's the video. You didn't miss anything. Just make sure you're prepared by next week, and you should be fine. So,
Yeah, I can relate to the deaf students because we have a large deaf population at RIT, and that was actually sort of you mentioned the platform, the struggles with different platforms. So
hmm
before RIT was really like pushing for a sort of a closed gate issue, and then also they required the .stl files for making sure that you had all of the required closed captioning. But then I found that YouTube was easier, and they would have a captioning service that would do it for me. So that was really cool. And now it's very, I mean, and not only that, but it really serves our international student
hmm
population as well, which is great. And now they have the real time audio, which is really pretty amazing for international videos. So that's been really good for me. I've enjoyed that.
Have you listened to yourself like in Russian and different
No, I haven't. That's a
different
great idea.
dubbing? Yeah, you should. I'm like, wow, I don't know what I'm saying, but that sounds so interesting in Russian.
Okay, so you kind of touched on, well, I'm going to skip around on my questions because I'm curious to know, um, you know, these channels exist outside of the formal course structure and the institution. So how do you navigate the issues of ownership and credit and alignment and quite frankly, legalities? Because if your stuff is out there for free on the web, why would the students come and pay tuition to be in your class?
Mhm.
That's
That's a
one,
valid
sorry,
question.
I'm gonna put a little caveat in there. That's one of the reasons why I have like thousands of videos that I've recorded over 25 years, but they're all on private, password protected stuff because I'm terrified of being sued by the university for giving away the information that's out there that
Mhm.
I teach in my classes. So yeah, go ahead. Sorry, Monica. We can start back with
No,
you if you want.
I mean, Nick can go since you didn't get a chance to talk on the
No,
last
you
point.
go ahead, Monica. That's great.
I guess for me, it's mostly about equity. Like I'm trying to make sure that everybody has access to it. So I always use the equity term. Um, and I guess I never thought about being sued by the school. We have a clause. We have a really strong union, so the clause says that we can do whatever we want. We own everything, so the school doesn't own it, right? So maybe that there's a protection clause there. Why would they take my class? I only show video tutorials. I don't show my presentations and lectures and theories, and I also then they don't get feedback. So the students or they don't get help. If they get stuck somewhere or they're trying to troubleshoot something, they're not going to get any help, right? Because I mean, people email me all the time in Instagram, YouTube asking for help, and I just don't have the bandwidth to do that. So so you take my classes through the school because you are going to get catered, content. It's all like I have a particular way things are taught. I have presentations, I give feedback, I have homework, they have projects. So there's way more than just the videos. They will learn some of the tools, but they won't understand the theories and the foundations to make your projects really stand out. And of course, it's all the help and the feedback and the connections. So it's kind of like going to college. When you go to college, you make connections, right? With other people, they're going to end up in the industry, and then that's how you can land your first job or at least get feedback. And I just feel like that's the reason why you take courses is to get really precise, catered content to you.
Nick, do you want to add?
Sure. Yeah, I mean, and Monica is spot on. And I think, the museum industry had a, kind of introspective reckoning prior to COVID about like, oh, how much do we make available via, online library sharing versus like we want people to come to the museum and those kinds of things. And I mean, I did have a bit of an out because my department head is Michael Wagner, who was in the previous session, and he already had a YouTube channel. So I had a like, but that to say like, so I didn't feel intimidated, by risking anything in terms of putting out a video. So I felt safe in doing that. Um, but I think the other thing is that for me, being the professor at my school, Drexel, is my primary thing. And I'm doing this with the intent of improving that experience. And so what I if anyone within the institution has questioned it in any way, which, no one's questioned it in a critical way, but like um there's two things that I'll always point to. Number one is what I shared earlier about the benefit for students and alumni, and that it shows industry, what they're doing in the school. Like, so, and you have to be in the school to be in the studio, right? So a lot of what I teach in virtual production is working with a Vicon mocap system. That's not something I can put on, like, you can't experience that. Like Monica was saying, you can't get that, on YouTube. You can see how it works, but you have to be there at the school to experience that. Same thing, with the virtual production, the LED walls, those kinds of things. Um, I also have shared that part of my intent is that high school teachers trying to figure out this stuff will hopefully fall upon my channel and like, oh, like, and if they have students that are interested in this stuff, like, oh, well, this place Drexel is the place you should go. So it's kind of like a low-key recruiting tool as well. So I think that those are two big factors in this, that make it a benefit to the institution as well as to the students. And so haven't encountered any resistance to doing what I'm doing. And you had mentioned legalities, and so I think Monica had mentioned another important point is that the stuff, the content that I put on to the channel is not like, I don't just record a class and put it out there. There are instances where I invite students to say, "Hey, do you want to be part of a video?" And they're choosing to be part of it, knowing that that's going to be part of it. But there isn't any instance where oh, I just recorded, I just had the best lecture of my life, I'm putting that on my YouTube channel. I never have a best lecture. They're always terrible. But the point is that, none of the in-class content is really going to the channel.
And Shaun, anything else you'd like to add?
Yeah, absolutely. I think since I did start way back, I did get quite a bit of pushback, partly because the institute was wanting me they were wanting me to make it more exclusive, and they were also making sure that I served the deaf students, so making sure the captioning was there. And then I think there was like sort of concern about well, am I going to be sharing information? And I think that my trajectory has been constantly about breaking rules in like larger institutions. And so, I'm an early adopter in AI. I'm an AI fellow at RIT, and that's also getting pushback. And I was also part of the Magic Center at RIT, which also like initially got completely like, there were deans and like nobody wanted to share the wealth I mean, but it's in like a lot of these choices have inverted over time, right? So like Monica and Nick, like my YouTube channel hit like 11,000, but I constantly break rules. I'm like, I don't do it right. Like I'm not publishing consistently, and I'm like, it's an experimental, like I'm a cross-disciplinary researcher, right? So I do this loop of like videos whenever I feel like it, kind of, but like I'm a really like, I love YouTube and Unreal and AI and like so, but there is a lot of street cred now, like that, to
Hmm.
Monica's point, like the students, even though it's not like I have like this small YouTube channel, but like it's, the students are like, oh, you actually are like, can like relate to um things that we do. So that I think that's things sometimes when you push through, they invert, that's kind of my theme, I guess.
Thank you. Excellent. Good to know. Maybe I'll push some of my stuff out there soon. So
Yeah, you should.
You
with
should.
that,
You
with
should
that in mind,
absolutely do that.
so we talked about not posting lectures, but posting content. So how do you balance the time and labor of maintaining a channel with all of your other responsibilities? And what support structures you might have? Uh, for that to happen. Obviously, Shaun, you kind of just answered that by saying, you don't always post regularly and things like that. But so how do you balance all the other things you have to do with the content that you want to create for the channel? Like, let's go with Nick first this time.
Well, living with ADD actually helps that, because I can't stay focused on a single thing for very long anyway. So sometimes this,
Isn't
I'll
that all
just record.
creatives though? Like I can't focus on
Relate.
Maybe,
anything.
I don't
Totally
know.
relate. Yeah.
I just like, okay, my brain needs a break. I need to, I'll take a break from grading. I'm just going to make a tutorial. So there is that. I mean, I do almost all of my YouTube content creation is from home. Only very occasionally is it from the studio itself. And again, I justify that in that, I'm showing off what we have at Drexel when I'm doing that. And it says, hey, here we are at the Drexel studio, that sort of thing. And, I'll even go as far as sometimes saying, if there's like, there's the students that are here helping me, like their LinkedIn profiles are linked in the description, if you need somebody that has this experience. Um, and so, the nice thing, I come from having worked in the feature film industry and digital VFX. And I actually find the, I'm going to get myself in so much trouble for this, but I just find the prescribed workload of being a teacher so much more relaxing than what I experienced in like crunch time of production, like the film that, they're not moving the release date of the film. All of these shots need to be done. So I find it like I'm filling some of the the time that I have available. And, and again, a lot of the content does get shared with the students as part of flipping the classroom type of things. There's a question in the Q&A about deciding what share freely versus, the lectures. And some of it is about, okay, I have prescribed course time, and we have a start time, we have an end time, there's all this kind of stuff in the studio. And sometimes I want to maximize the value of that time in the studio. And so rather than cover something that I can show in a video tutorial and, oh, I can put that out publicly, and that's going to benefit students going forward, then I'll do that. I'll put any content that I can onto the YouTube channel so I don't have to consume studio time for that. And so those are some of the the mechanisms of. I don't have support, right? So I see, friends acquaintances that are, have much bigger YouTube channels than I do. And that's their thing. Their thing is their YouTube work. And, they're not university professors. And, I see them like say, hey, by the way, I'm looking to hire a video editor. I'm like, wow, must be nice. I do appreciate having ChatGPT. Like, okay, what topics should I cover? Like, I'll tell it, like, here's my YouTube channel. What do you suggest I do that, and it is nice to have those kinds of helps, like inputs, like, oh, here's some kind of things that are popular now. But that essentially is my support mechanism.
Okay, so does Shaun or Monica want to follow that?
Well, for me, my YouTube channel is more of a passion project. Like it's just something that I really enjoy doing. I like helping people, and I feel like this is my way of helping people that don't have access to this sort of thing. So, for example, a lot of my subscribers are from India, and they don't have access to like, amazing, Drexel or any type of college that provides them this. So they learn these skills, and then, I get random messages where like, hey, thanks to you, I got a job, my first job doing this. And I'm like, oh, okay. So it's really neat, but it's hard to balance work and projects and family and also YouTube, but I like it. I love it. I like doing it. So um I just find the time. I do miss weeks though sometimes, so and that hurts the lot, the algorithm, but it is what it is. At the same time though, I have to constantly be updating my videos because, ZBrush gets updated. Maya just released OpenPBR. There's just all these new things that change, and therefore it's just very natural for me to just be like, okay, well, I need, this has just been released. My students need to know about it. Let me just make a video about it and I'll put it in my classroom. Like, for example, some of my stuff is from 2018, and it's like, well, Maya's changed a bit, so I have to re-record those, with the more updated UVs and things like that, UV tools. But yeah, sometimes it's a struggle, but it is like, it's a passion project, and I just enjoy doing it.
All right, Shaun.
I, I think I would enjoy to say that mine's like the opposite. Like I actually don't like doing YouTube. And it's not a passion project, but it's more like eating my vegetables. So I do it just I made in high school I made myself join the debate team, and now I'm making myself do YouTube videos. And I saw it as, I mean, I'm sort of a technology strategist and a researcher, and so but I also saw it as a huge value proposition that I was going to help my students, and that was like a core goal. And so it's like and also I was like not going to accept the fact that my institution was nudging me to do it like within this paywall, using services like, to your point, Monica, like that weren't using, like they weren't effective. And I was like, no, I'm going to use the tools that work. And this is going to help my students the most. And this is going to have the biggest like long-term benefits. So this is where I'm going to go. And so the fact that I have like a bunch of like subscribers, every once in a while, I'll look and like all sorts of people will log on. And then the other thing that I'm also wrestling with is your point, Monica, about like, do I update workflows where like Unreal has changed like between 5.0 4 and 5.7, there's like been a big interface change, and I still have some videos that I'm like, it's the same workflow. Just watch it. And I have like some 4.27 videos, and people like the students are like, what's the matter? We can't figure this interface out. The buttons are different. I'm like, oh, I think that's an interesting question. I'd love to hear both of you answer. Like, it's like that's part of like figuring like that's part of the way technology shifts. And is that something that do you ever use the old videos and have your students
After
figure it
Effects, I
out?
have one where the interface is still like light gray.
Awesome.
And the students are like, "What is that?" And I'm like, "The buttons are all still the same. They might maybe shift up and down, but everything still works perfectly."
Right.
I haven't had a chance to re-record it, but it still works. Like the same concepts, extruding, you grab a face, you right click, take a face, extrude. Like the fundamental ones are still working. Nothing's
Mhm.
really changed. Just the more advanced tools, I think, that needs an update. But the
Yeah,
UVs
and I
have
think
changed
in Unreal
dramatically.
there's sorry, I think in Unreal there's a classic interface that you can just switch it back to the old one
I
too.
love that. That's fun.
Yeah, and Sean had a couple points there, and one about, putting things into the paywall. There is the updates thing, and I mean, I think some of the things I started with too with motion capture were sharing some tutorials about Motion Builder, and I have a manual for Motion Builder, which was Filmbox, like from like 2002. And that manual is actually still valid today. I mean, some of the pictures have changed, and it's not, 3 by 4, it's now 16 by 9 all the time. But some things don't change. But I did notice, it's actually a common refrain in my department about every single year we have to completely re-update anything that we've done from a previous year, because there's a whole new way of doing UVs now, and there's better ways and all these improvements. But also, Sean had two things. One about hating to do YouTube, but forcing himself to be in debate team as a way of improving. And I definitely feel that, but the practice of, recording these tutorials for public consumption, there's a lot of freedom when, okay, I'm going to make this little video tutorial for my, this little group of students of, in this class, and okay, here it is. It's clear. It's fine. Here it's done. It's a little bit different to be able to have something that, okay, I feel comfortable presenting this like openly, publicly to the world. And I feel like that does make me a better presenter in the classroom. And another note that Sean had was about the institution, wanting him to put content behind in a specific system within the school system. And one thing that has been tremendously useful for me as an instructor is just how searchable YouTube is. So again, it was just a week or two ago, I wanted to show something that in, you know, Vicon software that it's it's very esoteric. Like you have to push this button and then this button and this button. You got to do all the check boxes, and I couldn't remember. Like I'm in the class trying to remember. Like, oh, wait a minute, I'm missing a checkbox. I could search it so fast on YouTube, get my own tutorial, and okay, oh, and I just needed to see a couple frames. Like, okay, now this is the checkbox I'm missing. Here we go. And so I think that, all of those things resonate with me in terms of how this, there's synergies with doing this in the classroom.
All right, I just want to say to our attendees and panelists, I have a couple more questions, but now's your opportunity to start dropping your questions in either the chat or the Q&A, and I'll get to those after my last two questions. So the the next question I have is for faculty who are curious about using YouTube or similar platforms, but feel intimidated by the scale or the visibility. What, in your opinion, is the minimum viable starting point, and what mindset shift, I guess, is more important than production quality?
I'm happy to answer that. I'd say just start. It's like exercising, right? You don't try to run a marathon, you just get a video out. And I mean, part of my research is connected to media. So social media, like YouTube as social media, there's some affirming research out there that says keeping it fresh and like unpolished in some ways is actually very appealing to many people, if that helps.
Okay.
I agree with Sean. Just I would say just start. Don't expect, to blow up or anything. It takes a long time. Especially since I heard that it's like 1,000 channels get created a day or something like that. It's like you're competing with a lot of things. I would say like, it's find your niche, whatever it is, and then it's Mr. Beast. I always remember just watching a video about his thumbnails, and he said something like, "You always try to improve your videos by 1%." So the quality, it could be your microphone, it could be the way you edit. Just improve your videos 1%, and you eventually will get better and better. So yeah, just like Sean said, just start, and you will be surprised how many people could use your content.
Okay, Nick, do
Yeah,
you have anything
100%
else
agree with
to
both. Yeah,
add?
100% agree with both Monica and Sean. And just number one, get started. Don't feel like you don't have what you need. I mean, you were talking about minimum production quality. Really, OBS screen recorder is free. Both Windows and Mac can, self-record with their own built-in tools on their operating systems. Um, Ideally, you would want to have like a decent mic, so that it's not picking up your computer fan and things like that. But you can start with that. I think one of the, YouTube verse general advice is just go ahead and do it, because then you can see it, and be able to, okay, like Monica said, just look at your own video and then, well, what can you improve about that? But you can screen record, you don't need a camera. And so I think, if you have something that you enjoy sharing and teaching in class, just make a video, put it on there, see what happens, and then make another one.
I hope it's okay. I just dropped all three of your links in the
I know,
chat.
thank you.
So thank you for that vote of confidence. Just pretty much like everything, right? Just do it. Just get off your butt and do it, right? Okay, and then to my personally last question is, have you seen any of your students to begin to use this as not just as consumers, but as creators? Do they start documenting their workflows or explaining techniques, or have you built that into an assignment maybe to encourage them to to share their knowledge? Let's go with Shaun.
I'm sure. I'd say both really quickly. One I just came across that has, a couple like 5,000 subscribers now, and that's pretty awesome to see. And then also I've had one of my assignments is to have my students do a video game level critique, and then they have to do it and share it on it doesn't have to be public, but they have to record it and share it, and so it's easiest on YouTube.
I've had a couple of students do YouTube channels, and it's random. It can be them playing games, like streamers. I did have one student post their homework and their process, and I thought that was really interesting that he literally was like, "This is my sketch, and and just recorded himself modeling, and all they were my assignments." And but that's how he was getting himself out there. It was just like, since I'm working on this one, I just record this and upload it, and he did. So I have seen students use YouTube to kind of push their content out there.
Yeah, actually, Cheryl, thanks for that question because I hadn't thought of it before. But yes, I can, now that you've asked, I can think of a few students that have posted to YouTube their content. There was even a undergraduate senior project team that created their own YouTube channel and would share their behind the scenes process and their finished project that way. And it's actually become something that I advocate in my classes, front and foremost for so many students, especially as they're getting close to graduation, is how am I going to find a job? And one of the things that I was recalling is that I've had some of my very first opportunities in feature film, digital VFX, because I had gotten involved in just creating tutorials about the software I was learning, because the software was so expensive, and I wasn't formally enrolled in a school at the time. And so through a mentor, I was able to connect with some of the software companies and kind of make a barter. Like, if you could just loan me a license for your software, this multi-thousand-dollar software for a little while, like I promise I will record some tutorials and you can have them. And that ultimately, there was at least one job that I secured when during the interview I shared some of the demo material, and they were like, oh yeah, no, I've seen that, that's like in the lesson for that, like, yeah, but that's my basement, I made that video. Like I made that lesson. It's like, oh really, okay, so I actually share with my students that one of the things that they can do to help improve their own job search is to show themselves as being problem solvers and contributors to the work, the professional community at large. You're sharing with your knowledge, you become a force multiplier within your team. It's not that you're just another pair of hands on the team, but you're someone who wants to help others improve as well. And so it's actually become something that I've start to incorporate into my classes and share with students that, you should, if you have the time, you should definitely like start sharing your knowledge openly so that people can find you that way, and that's useful in your job search.
All right, so we have about 10 minutes left, and I'm checking to see if we have any Q&A or questions in the chat.
I do have questions for Shaun and Nick, if you don't mind if I jump in.
Oh no, go right ahead.
So you know that AI with creatives is really like tense, right? That AI is being used as a tool. Companies are keeping it in the down low because people get really upset. I recently released a video on how to you can generate a 3D model and how you can clean it up, and just kind of like exploring the tool. And I lost hundreds of subscribers, but it's also one of my most watched videos. So I'm wondering if you guys have done any videos about AI and what type of reaction have you received?
Sure.
Go for
I've
it, Shaun.
done a couple, and part of it is I'm an early adopter, and also I'm sort of a contrarian, I guess. Like, so in that I see, I'm also sort of in the middle of editing a book on, you know, the AI impact on industries right now, and so and my YouTube channel's not that big, and it's also super. It's like AI, it's a little bit all over the place, so it's not extremely focused. So I don't think I noticed any huge impact, but the videos were on things like, look, Unreal was a huge technology accelerator. YouTube is a huge technology accelerator. And it's just another tool. Right now, it's definitely, I have issues with so many things about it in terms of energy usage and, yeah, other things. But at the same time, it's a tool, and um, use it as ethically and transparently as possible.
And also, I haven't explicitly had a video that's like, oh, about AI yet. I have a number in mind because I do use AI. I mean, I a ChatGPT is like one of my, what are it's my, support tool for my ADD, like trying to keep me organized and things like that. And I share with my students that, when I was a kid, when I grew up, learning, to program, I still have it somewhere here. I had a book on my desk called Numerical Recipes in C. So if I didn't know how to code some piece of calculus, I'd had a book and I'd find the thing. And in a lot of ways, a lot of the generative AI support is just shortening the looking it up part of like, okay, I need to take this, impossibly esoteric piece of equipment, and I need it to talk to this other esoteric piece of equipment, and like, oh yeah, you can do that, and I'll be able to cobble the code together so much faster. So I'm definitely, I also feel like I transitioned into the feature film industry out of a more traditional kind of software development space. And part of my ability to have done that was that at the time, the film industry was using film and it was transitioning to digital. And realized that my knowledge of computers was valuable and that I could come into spaces where I knew every bit as much about the software and the computers as anyone who had been in the industry for a long time. And so that was my toe in the door. I could be of value right away. And I do feel that we're increasingly in a space where big industry isn't really the only place that you can find productive, employment, and be able to find a way of making a livelihood. I think that AI in particular is something that can be very enabling for people to be able to essentially break free of like this kind of larger corporate structure and pursue their own ideas in ways that they wouldn't have been able to before. I'm definitely positive in terms of the power of AI. I'm definitely afraid of some of the negative things. I think that there's, we've seen, how toxic social media algorithms can change things, and so there's good and bad to it. And I don't have any ill feelings about anyone who's negative towards AI. But at the same time, I'm definitely I'm leaning more in towards the adoption phase of it and seeing like how can I show others how they can achieve their own goals, by using this technology that exists. So good
All
question,
right.
Monica. Did you have
Yeah,
another question?
good question. Do you have any more questions, or do any of the other panelists have questions for the others? We have about 4 minutes left. So
I
time for
have a question for
one more.
Monica, and that is, uh, do do you is your YouTube channel still like purely you choose what you're doing purely on passion project, or do you have an eye towards like what would help the algorithm with it?
See,
Is that
that's very, very interesting because I've actually been, because you said you asked chat, what are the key things that you can talk about so that people will follow? And I was like, that's a really good idea. I honestly just do things that I enjoy that I think people might enjoy as well, but mostly it's like my YouTube, and therefore I do the AI, which is something that I was exploring, and I did not realize that I was going to get so like I got 50 comments of like, I can't believe you would do that, like really negative comment. That was like, whoa. So there's a lot of like, um, in
I
my
wonder if
like
negative
resistance
comments
towards it.
actually hurt the algorithm though. The algorithm might see that as like, look at the engagement. Do
Well,
more.
that I don't know because it's one of my most viewed ones in the past, like from the 10 videos that I released, it's like number one by hundreds of views. So I'm like, should I do more AI? So because I actually am enjoying creating AI, or like just using it to see how quickly I can make stuff, and it's a mess. Like the mesh is a mess, and I mean, at the end. You become like a cleaner, right? That's what I end up in, like retopoing everything, UV mapping everything, baking everything, like, but it's also kind of fun, like just to see what type of mess it makes and if you can and if it's usable. So that was mostly my exploration phase, but I just create things that I think are interesting, or what I'm going to be teaching in class. But I haven't, like I like the idea of asking chat, like, hey, what's trending? Like, I know, like if I created a YouTube, like a tutorial and hey, create, weapons for K-pop Demon Hunter, I'd probably get a lot of views, but I didn't. So those are the type of trends that I think are interesting. But in general, it's mostly like, I want to build a cat cafe. Let me just do an isometric cat cafe, and just kind of teach that way. So
I 100% have to confess that having been forced by my students to watch KPDH and then therefore have become an instant fan of the entire, I can't believe there's not more content around that IP yet. I have discovered that I am now posing the mannequins and Vicon characters in my thumbnails in KPDH poses. Like I have like a Saja Boys pose set and
nice.
and all these kinds
Like
of
this
stuff.
one.
And yeah, yeah, oh yeah.
All right, well, I think we're just about finished with our time today. Thank you very much to the panelists and for your insights on this topic. And I'm probably gonna go try to post. I was looking at my channel when y'all were talking, and I haven't posted anything like 7 years, so maybe it's time to dive back in.
Do it. Do it. Send
You
us a link.
should.
Share the
Yeah.
link to your
Yeah,
channel
share
in
the
the
link
chat.
and we'll follow you.
We're
All
gonna
We could do
like
right.
and subscribe. We're
collaborations.
gonna
Actually,
smash that like button.
all three of us could do a collaboration and
Yeah,
just
I have, I
like
think,
We should. We should do a
225
collab. That would be
subscribers,
great.
so I'm
Yeah, it'd be
very far
fun.
behind. But I've got like 21,000 views on one of them, so
That's
that's
phenomenal.
that's great. Yeah.
Congratulations.
All
Yeah,
right,
you should
thank you
totally
so
do more.
much. Yeah, for
And you
sure.
have the
Yeah,
content
thank
and the
you.
students would appreciate it and
Yeah.
honestly the world would appreciate it. Like you'll be surprised how much of an impact. Like it's just weird. I go to conventions and people would just come up to me and just be like,
Yeah.
"Thank you so much. You really helped me through like my teachers didn't teach me and you're the one I had to depend on you." Like and I'm like, "Who are you?" You know, like, "Oh, okay." You know? So yeah, you'll be helping complete strangers.
Sounds great. Oh, so I think we have a 5-minute break, and then coming back with Nandini is going to be hosting this next session on, I'm trying to see what we have here next. It's on, I'm not exactly sure, but I know Nandini's taking it over, so that'll be good for her. I think we have 2 presenters in the next session, and then I'll be back after that at 3:30 to continue. So thank you again to our panelists, and looking forward to so
Thank
much
you.
great information today.
Hey, thanks so much.
Thanks everybody.
Thanks, Cheryl.
Thanks.
Yeah, thank you for hosting.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, this was fun.